Cast with Lonzo in command. Brought to you by Compton Entertainment Chamber, across the land. News and information, straight and uncut, we deliver. Real talk every time, sharp like a sliver. Like and subscribe, stay tuned, let's ride.
Good evening, folks. This is Lonzo, the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce and the editor for the Hub City Legend. And as you know, I am interviewing candidates for the various offices throughout the city. And now I have one for the state. A good friend of mine, longtime buddy, Steve Bradford, former senator, is now running for California State Insurance Commissioner. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. What's happening, Lonzo?
Oh, man, hanging out with the best of them right now, as you can see. Talk to the folks about your position that you're going for as the state insurance commissioner.
Well, as you know, we have an election on June 2nd. Ballots have already started to drop. Insurance commissioner is probably the most difficult job outside of being governor right now, with all the Californians either losing insurance, and premiums going up, or claims being denied. You name it, it's happening right now throughout California. And it just didn't start with the fires that we saw last year. It's been something that's been happening for quite some time. As you know, we have an elected insurance commissioner. It's only 11 states in the country that have an elected insurance commissioner, and that started in 1988 when we passed Prop 103 that created the first elected insurance commissioner in California. So I've decided to run. I was really recruited a year ago this time. I was running for lieutenant governor, but so many folks that I ran into said, Steve, your skill set would be better utilized as an insurance commissioner right now because of all the challenges that we face in this market. So after a whole lot of discussion, a whole lot of prayer, and a whole lot of just wrangling arm twists, and I decided to do it. So here I am, ready to go.
I had a question for you. I had a couple of questions for you. You just answered the one. Why this position? Because I know you were vying for lieutenant governor at first. Now you had a redirection, and now you're going for the insurance commissioner. What changes would you like to see in the insurance industry in California? What's one of the biggest problems you see?
Well, stabilizing the market right now. Now we have companies that are leaving California because of the long delays. So the insurance industry overhaul needs to be modernized. We need to give the men and women in the Department of Insurance, there's 1,400 employees there, making sure that they have the tools and resources to do their job far more efficiently, but also have a better relationship with the insurance industry to understand what some of those challenges are that they see that's leading them to want to leave California or not renew policies in certain areas, and also working with our consumers to make sure that they have a voice and a seat at the table as we look at raising rates or lowering rates and making sure we expand coverage, in those most vulnerable areas. What does consumers need to do to make sure that they have insurance that's affordable and available to them? Because right now you find yourselves in one of three categories. Either you need it and you can't afford it, you can afford it and it's not being available, or you're left to the FAIR plan. And we all know there's nothing fair about the FAIR plan. So it's a lot of work to be done here.
What's the chance of California having its own, like a single payer situation for car insurance? Is that even possible? Or is that even feasible?
Well, I have an opponent that's advocating for that. I would throw caution to the wind on that. We haven't figured out single payer healthcare yet. So why would we want to expand home, car, life, you name it? I'm here as an elected official 28 years after running because the city of Gardena started its own municipal insurance company. And 4 years after starting it, the city was on the brink of bankruptcy. They started the company in 1993. I was elected in 1997. At that point, the city owed $27 million to Sumitomo Bank. They had no money in the bank. Our employees hadn't had raises. We hadn't bought any new rolling stock. So it was a disaster. It looked good on paper, but in all actuality and in reality, it didn't work. And that's why I would caution the state to take on additional burdens right now, because we've had plenty budget deficits while I was in the legislature, and I know how that devastates all of California.
How much impact does the commissioner have on the actual insurance rates? Is that something you can regulate or something you can have an influence over? How does that work?
Yes, we can regulate it. But again, there are challenges from the consumer side. And the problem is right now, it just takes too long. It's only one other state that takes longer than California to get a rate approval, and that's Colorado. We take on average 305 days, where most states you can get a rate approval done in 90 days or less. So that's what we need to do. We need to modernize and making sure that the men and women in the Department of Insurance has their the necessities, but we also have to work with our consumer groups who can now challenge any rate approval, which delays the process, calls for a hearing. So that process needs to be truncated. We're not saying consumers shouldn't have a voice at the table, but it shouldn't cost a year delay, which leads, again, insurance companies to say, we're not going to renew you, or we're going to, leave California altogether.
All right, folks. I'm not going to hold you long, Steve. I'm thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Anything you want to say before we wrap this interview up?
Again, this is critically important. This race probably has never gotten the type of attention that it's getting this election cycle, especially in light of, all the fires that we saw in Altadena and Palisades, even Paradise 4 years ago in Northern California. And, we need to make sure we have a functioning insurance industry here in California that's, again, available, affordable, and modernized and transparent. Consumers need to be educated on what it is that their policies provide. They're not being provided that information. Most of the folks we saw in both Altadena and Palisades fires were underinsured. So we want to make sure that consumers, when they're purchasing a policy, they know it's covering their home, to the full extent possible, to make sure that they're not being denied the rebuild that we're facing. And we want to also start migrating people away from the FAIR plan. I don't know if you're familiar with the FAIR plan. Is considered the policy of last resort, but for many Californians, it's the only resort. And a lot of folks are unaware of the history of the FAIR plan. It started in 1968 after traditional insurance companies stopped writing in African-American communities after the Watts civil unrest. So we need to start depopulating the FAIR plan and, again, stabilizing the traditional market so they'll write more policies so we can start migrating people off the FAIR plan, because currently it's over 700,000 people and it's $1 billion overextended, and it was never designed for this kind of mass population right now and that kind of exposed liability right now under the FAIR plan.
Whew, man, that's a lot, Doc.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
Steve, you were a senator for how many years?
8 years, and assembly for 6 years.
He recently termed out. He did a great job. I am personally a recipient of some of his achievements working with the EECI with Barbara Stanton. If you don't know, I have to tell you another day, but we thank you for that. I know if he gets in the seat as a commissioner, he's going to continue to do great work in the community, folks. This is one of them times I'm making an endorsement. I usually don't make endorsements, but this one, you got my vote, and I'm encouraging anybody that's watching this podcast to do the same thing. All right?
I appreciate it. And as I tell folks, I'm not running for anything else. I mean, this is not a stepping stone. In this position over the last, 38 years since it's been existing, has been a stepping stone to someone wanting to run for governor or, Senate or Congress or whatever like that. I'm not doing that. I'm doing it for the work, to do the work that's needed right now in that position. And I ask you to look at my 26 years as an elected official. I never missed a day. And I moved monumental legislation. I've moved resources, not only through my district, close to $200 million in my Senate district and Assembly district, but all across the state of California. We did, as you well know, Bruce's Beach, returning that property to the African-American family that was stolen in 1924. The Ebony Alert, finding missing Black boys and girls and young adults, first in this nation. NIL, name, image, and likeness, to now allow college athletes to monetize their image and their name. And so I've done real work, and this is what we need to do. And that's what we need, someone who's in it to do the work, not for the title, not for the accolades. And that's the only reason I'm doing this. I go in it with my eyes wide open. This is the toughest job I'll probably ever have.
All right, folks, you heard it from the man himself. I know for a fact the man does his work. As they say, put his work in. All right, Steve, I know you're busy. Thank you very much. Folks, I got to sign this one off. All right. Peace, Doc. Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right.
I had a little bit more time if you wanted to stretch it out.
Oh, well, cool. We ain't got to go nowhere.
Yeah.
No,
I got to 6.
Okay. I ain't got no more questions, but I'm questioning you got some answers. Go ahead.
No, again, this is a job that's going to require people to show up and roll up your sleeves. As I tell folks, there's no magic wand in getting elected. The magic is the hard work. The magic is the people that you surround yourself with. I've always surrounded myself with the best and the brightest. That's what I'll do here. I'll bring in climate experts. I'll bring in actuaries, underwriters, folks who have experience, even folks in the building industry. We need all of that in the Department of Insurance right now, and it needs to be modernized again. It's 1,400 men and women in this department who show up every day, want to, make sure that we have a stable, sustainable insurance market. And I want to make sure they have the tools and resources to do their job to the best of their ability. So it represents what's best in California and what the consumers need. So it's a lot of work here. So, but I go in.
I got a personal insurance issue that I've been dealing with for almost 2 years now, and it has to do with my club, Eve After Dark. We talked about this in the past, and it's just taking us this long to get through all the red tape and everything else. So I would definitely love to see you in that position. Hopefully you can we'll probably have a resolve by the time the election's over with, but trust me, everybody I know that's ever had any type of fire or mishap at their home, the biggest nightmare they have to deal with the insurance company.
I know it's delays, it's denials, it's drop policies. I mean, as I tell folks, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired of getting your bill or your notice from your insurance company saying that your premiums have gone up or that your claim has been denied, or worst of all, you've been canceled. So we need to change that. And I tell folks it won't happen overnight. I'm not promising on day one it's going to happen, but I guarantee you, if we're committed to do it, as I've done for my 26 years as an elected official, we will fix this problem. We'll fix this problem because we'll work with everybody. Like I said, I'm going to bring the insurance to the table. You can't do this in a silo. You got to have, have a pragmatic approach in order to stabilize the market. And a stable market creates greater choices for consumers and greater competition amongst the companies. And when you have competition, as you well know, rates go down. So we need a competitive market here in California.
Yes, we need a competitive market in some of everything. For some reason, it seems like we've gotten more and more monopolized as time has progressed. Whether it be the media, whether it be travel, it's fewer and fewer people are controlling the various services and good services that we need as a nation, and that's not good.
That's so true. You see it in the entertainment industry. They're gobbling up 1 and 2, major studios to make one big old studio. I mean, we see it in the airlines industry. We're seeing it everywhere. So you're right. Competition has always been good. And we surely need as much competition as possible in insurance, so consumers can have a choice. When consumers have a choice, they can shop and find the best policies for them, the best product for them. But without a choice, they're forced on the, high rates and limited coverage. So that's not good for any of us, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, you think when you almost 70 years old that your car insurance will go down, but mine went up and I haven't had no issues. It's amazing for no reason whatsoever. I just want some more money, Mr. Williams. Pay it or you stuck.
I've heard it from so many people, even myself. I haven't had a moving violation in over 20 years. The car I'm driving is 16 years old, and I pay more today than I did when, I was running up and down the street in a 280ZX sports car, both in college and over the last 15, 20 years. And I pay more for a 16-year-old Buick than I did for a sports car. So it's out of sorts for so many people. And as you well know, you can't buy a car if you don't have insurance, and you're not supposed to drive a car without insurance, even though many people do every day. I mean, insurance is the linchpin to everything that we do. You can't buy a house without insurance. You can't get a mortgage. So, there creates a housing crisis, and if you don't have life insurance, Not to say that people are leaning on life insurance, but it's always that bridge after losing someone to help you sustain your livelihood, things of that nature. If you have a spouse or a relative that had life insurance, that helps you along if you lose that income. So life insurance is critically important. And like I say, without car insurance, you can't get to and from work because you can't buy a car. So it touches us in every aspect of life. So it's critically important.
People ask why there are not a lot of clubs in Los Angeles. The hidden factor that most people don't understand is that clubs are a very high risk when it comes to insurance.
Yeah, liability.
Liability. You have alcohol, altered minds, and I watched our insurance from eve after dark go from a small amount to a major amount over just one conversation. We actually got canceled. We actually got canceled because we advertised bottle service.
Yeah. See,
we got cancellation.
You can't operate a business without insurance. You can't do anything in life without insurance. Right. I mean, whether it's workers' comp, you name it, liability, you need insurance, and it touches us in every aspect. So it's critically important that we find a way to make it available, not only available, but affordable, and making sure it provides the type of coverage that everyone needs. So yeah, it's a challenge.
All right, Doc. It's been a great interview. I just got to call my food ready. I'm hungry.
I ain't mad at you.
All right, Doc. Thank you very much, Steve. Good luck. Look, folks, like I said before, you have not heard me endorse anybody on this podcast. He got my vote. Hopefully he'll get yours as well too.
I need everybody's vote. Our ballots have already started dropping, so don't wait till June 2nd. You can start voting the day your ballot hits the mail, and you have all the way up to June 2nd. Every vote counts.
All right, Doc. Have a good one now.
You too. Thank you, Lonzo.
All right, peace.